Brock Page here, random sports picks for fun. The Detroit Lions travel to Chicago to take on the Bears. 1 o'clock Eastern kickoff at Soldier Field. The Lions open this one up as the 3-point favorites and the total at an even 44. Since the betting opened up, most of that early action has come pouring in on the Lions and the under. Right now, Detroit's laying 3.5 against the spread with the total moving all the way down to an even 41 points. Currently, the Lions are 3-2 to win it outright. And at the moment, the Chicago Bears are taking just 23% of Johnny Public's money. So look for them to be catching another half a point or so by the end of business today. Now, if you're betting sides in this one and you like the Lions, you might be on to something here. This Lions team has performed very well against the spread away from home this year. Detroit against the spread is $7.50 when traveling, posting a record of 3-1 against the number away from Ford Field. They're also 2-1 against the number this year when laying the points. In addition to all that, Detroit's really been able to take care of business when it comes to covering against those weaker opponents. They've gone 2-0 against the spread versus teams under 400. That's a 400 win percentage. Now, most recently, the Lions are 2-0 against the spread in their last two. They also have a marquee cover on their resume over the likes of Minnesota. They've got themselves a Chicago team who's been ice cold against the number as of late, going 0-2 against the spread in their last two. One of those to the Rodgers-less Packers. The Bears are also 0-3 covering against teams allowing 21 to 25 points per contest. All in all, the case for the public money can certainly be made. Now, when it comes to the scoring, we haven't seen a whole lot of it in these Trubisky-led games for the Bears. Chicago games are 3-1 to the unders in their previous four before last week's action versus Green Bay. Chicago is also scoring just 15 points per contest in their last three. Having said all that, though, we do have ourselves a bit of a different song and dance on the other side, as Detroit games have gone 4-1 to the overs in their last five themselves. The high-powered Lions find themselves scoring 33 points per game on average in those overs as well. I'd really be happy taking the under in this one with a total of 44, hell, even 43, but I don't care for this line move all the way down to 41. I think that's a bit of a troublesome number. So all said and done, I'm going to forego a play on the total in this one. I do think the 3.5 points is a very fair market price. All told, I'm going to buy it down and take the visiting Detroit Lions -3, taking care of business against the spread. Next game, Kansas City at the New York Giants. A lot of action on this one, surprisingly. KC taking a ton of public money. Johnny Public really liking the Chiefs minus double digits, but that was not the case in the early going. Kansas City actually opened this one laying 13 with the total at an even 44. Since the betting opened up, though, the markets adjusted for all this action. I guess they felt as if they opened this one a tad high. Right now, Kansas City's laying just 10.5 against the spread, with the total moving upward to 44.5 points. Currently, the Chiefs are 460 to win this one outright for some moneyline cash. And at the moment, like I said earlier, the Chiefs are taking nearly 70% of the public action at the moment. I'd have to imagine the markets must move this number to 11 or 12 shortly. Really doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But if you're betting sides and you're leaning toward KC, the trends are certainly on your side in this one. KC, despite struggling lately, has been excellent against the number overall, going 6-3 ATS in all their games for the year. They've also performed very well against the number as the favorite, going 5-2 covering when laying the points. In addition to all that, this Chiefs ball club is a solid 2-1 against the spread as the official road favorite. Meanwhile, just a barrel fire on the Giants side, as the G-men have covered just 3 of 9 on the year. Even worse, this Giants organization is 0-4 covering at MetLife and 0-2 covering as the official home underdog. In addition to all that, New York's failed to cover 3 of 4 games versus teams over 500, and they're 0-3 ATS in their last 3 games. Now, scoring-wise, we've seen a ton of it in these Giants games recently. Obviously, most of it coming from their opponents. Giants games have gone 2-1 to the overs in their last 3. New York's finding themselves giving up 35 points per contest in their last 3 as well. Meanwhile, very similar story on the Kansas City side, as Chiefs games are 2-1 to the overs in their last 3 themselves. KC's giving up 26 points per contest in those games as well. KC's defense has really struggled lately, and they've actually given up. They actually gave up 19 points to Denver in their last heads-up matchup with them, a Denver team that New York smashed, demolished. So, folks, I've watched enough Andy Reid games in my lifetime to know that he covers against teams he shouldn't and fails to cover over teams he should blow out. Therefore, when it comes to choosing sides, I really have no interest in betting, although KC is seemingly the obvious pick. Remember, though, New York already played well against an AFC West opponent this year. Having said that, though, I do think we'll see a lot more scoring in this one than you think. All told, I'm going to go ahead and take the over 44.5 in this one. Next game I have for you, it is going to be Baltimore at Green Bay. The Ravens opened up 2.5, now 2. Total open 38, now 37.5. The visiting Ravens are a $1.25 to win it outright. And at the moment, the Packers are actually taking 52% of the money. Shouldn't be enough to move the lines anytime soon, but I really do think the closing number won't deviate too far away from the opening line. Now, if you're betting sides, Baltimore against the spread is 5-4 overall, 3-2 on the road, 2-0 in their last 2. They got a Green Bay squad who's covered just 4 of 9 overall and just 1 of 4 in their last 4. This Packer team's also covered 2 of 5 catching the points, 0 for 2 as the home underdog, and 0 for 3 covering against teams giving up less than 21 points a game. I like the Ravens on the road here. Give me Baltimore -2 and winning this one outright. Next game, Arizona at Houston. Flip of the lines in this one. Houston opened up +1.5, now laying 1.5. Total open 39, now 38.5. Currently, the Texans are laying 120 on the money line, and at the moment, the Cardinals are taking 52% of the public money. The Cardinals haven't really set the world on fire when it comes to covering overall, but they have turned up the heat just a little more recently. The Cardinals are 3-1 against the spread in their last 4, with a marquee cover over Seattle last week. If you bet early in the week, it's really dependent on where you were shopping. The Cards are also 1-1 ATS after more than 8 days off. They're also 1-0 ATS in their lone game at the current posted total. They're going up against a collapsing Houston team who's 0-3 in their last trio of games, failing to cover in 2 of them. The Texans have also covered 2 of 5 at home, 1 of 3 laying the points, and 1 of 3 as the official home favorite. Scoring-wise, haven't seen a lot of it amongst both teams. Texans games are 2-0 to the unders in their last 2. They're averaging just 10 points a game in those 2 unders. Meanwhile, similar story on the Arizona side of things, as Cards games are 3-0 to the unders in their last 3 themselves. The Cards are scoring just 12 points per contest in those 3 unders as well. All told, the case for lots of defense can certainly be made, but I do think Arizona's going to have just enough of it. We might see ourselves a droll, uninteresting score of 13-10 in this one. All told, though, I'm buying the hook and taking Arizona +2 with the under 38.5. All right, next and final game for the show, Tampa Bay at Miami. Somebody's got to win, right? Well, we almost saw a complete flip of the lines in this one as well. Miami opened up the betting as the 3-point favorites, but since then, that line's moved all the way down to a pick'em contest at the Hard Rock. Total also opened 40.5, now 41. Tampa's covered 2 of 9 overall. They're 0-4 covering on the road. They're also 0-4 covering as the underdog or pick'em, which is where they opened up and currently stand. To go along with that, this Bucs team is 0-3 covering as the official road underdog. Now, before last week's outright win versus the Jets, Tampa Bay failed to cover 7 straight ball games. They're going up against a Miami team who's 3-0 covering at the Hard Rock. Scoring-wise, Miami games are 4-0 to the overs in their last 4. They're giving up 35 a game in those overs. Meanwhile, completely different story on the Tampa side as their games are 3-0 to the unders in their last 3 themselves. Tampa averaged just 9 points per contest in those 3 as well. All said and done, I have no idea where this total is going to go. And all told, I really have no interest in betting this game. Therefore, you tell me who you think's going to win in the comments section below. Scared money? Absolutely. As far as I go, I am taking no action in this hurricane makeup game. All right, folks, that is going to do it for me. And actually, that is going to do it for NFL Week 11 picks. Before I get out of here, I have to remind you that I am not a sports betting expert, nor do I implore you to take any of my picks. A wise man once said, good ain't free, and free ain't good. For some reason, you decide to use the free information on this program. You're utilizing it at your own discretion. Most importantly, if you're betting any of these games, do it safe, do it responsibly, and most important, have fun. For Brock Page Productions, I'm Brock Page. Have yourself a positive day.